I'm ready to move on here to the next topic, and the NBA has came up with a new idea. Is the new NBA in-season tournament a good idea? And Zay, before you answer this question, right, I would love for you to do the honors and explain to the listeners and the viewers what is the new change and how it looks.
So the NBA has implemented an in-season tournament. It is six groups within the not within six groups, three in the Western Conference, three in the Eastern Conference, and it's each team will have group play, meaning you play against a team, and if you play against them and win, you get higher in the standings. If you lose, you get lower, of course. The best of the four teams will go to the semifinals. And then whoever wins out of those will go to the NBA, not NBA finals, the finals of the tournament to compete for a grand prize. Each the winning team, each player will gain $500,000 per player. Now that could work for a lot of guys who are on lower end contracts, so that gives them a pay bump, probably even double their guaranteed contract. If you're a superstar player, it's deli money. But the point is that to keep it competitive, to make sure that everyone stays at a high level in terms of this tournament.
All right, Zay,
Oh,
what's
my
your
take?
thoughts?
Oh,
Yeah.
I believe it's a great idea for the league. I think it incentivizes players to want to play more ferociously, to play with a chip on their shoulder to win, especially guys who are on those lower end deals, like I stated. I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of guys to really want to one up certain teams in the tournament and really showcase their talents. I think it doesn't take away from the league because it's still going to be in season play still counts towards a regular season record. You're not playing additional games. It's just more so of certain games have implications to it opposed to others. So I think it's important for the players to stay engaged within the season. It creates more of a urgency to keep the regular season interesting, even in the midway point, and it puts teams in positions where they can't just rest guys just to sit them out, or and things of that nature. It puts guys in positions where they have to compete because they want their teammates to get that money. They want the guys who are 15th on the bench or who are G League players who are come up from time to time to get that, they earn their money essentially. And I think that's a great um, incentive for players to have. I think it was a great idea by the NBA, and I hope they only increase the incentives as time goes on. I think it's a good idea. I don't see any like backlash in the sense of why this couldn't be a good idea.
Yeah, so I would say real quickly here, I'm gonna keep this minimum. I'm gonna say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that if Adam Silver is hell bent on making more money and making more profit, and that's what this is, a profit play, yes, it's a good idea. Great idea. Make more money, right? More viewership, more money, right? That's what it equals to. But if it is an attempt to solve the issue of the lack of importance of the regular season, then I'm going to say it's a bad idea. And the reason why, I really hate to bring in the NFL here, but like the NFL right now is making a power play to be the biggest source of entertainment on TV. They literally hijack NBA Christmas Day, right? And normally, like as I've been watching the NBA and the NFL together over these years, I've noticed that back then they had more mutual respect for one another, right? Christmas is your day. All right, fine. Christmas is your day. You do your thing, NBA, right? Certain things with the NBA, yeah, all right. The NFL, this is your time. All right, Thanksgiving Day, I ain't gonna do nothing. All right, cool. You have your day, NFL. But now the NFL's like, screw all that. Christmas, Black Friday, yeah. I don't care. I have no respect for Adam Silver. Roger Goodell has none whatsoever. And I think when you talk about ring culture, right? And I don't want to really get off the deep end, but it's really not. I think everything is a one extension of ring culture, right? Player empowerment, load management, all that's a product of ring culture. That's the biggest issue here. That players do not really value the regular season. Now, is people going to lose, their minds because they want a in-season tournament? Oh my gosh, I want an in-season tournament. Woohoo! Whoop-de-doo! Right now, like I don't see that same thing in this era. Right? Everybody's making power plays. Damian Lillard, right, or trying to. Bradley Beal to win championships. That's what everybody's concerned. You think LeBron James is concerned with this garbage? Hell no. He's concerned with winning rings, right? And I think for me, when you talk about the play-in tournament, right? And listen, I got to give Adam Silver some credit here because he does try to reinvent the wheel a lot. Sometimes I think he does it too much because it's like, all right, how many changes are we going to go through? I understand change is good, and I'm all a proponent of change, but constant change, it makes this sport look unrecognizable to the 90s heads, right? But anyway, let's talk about the playing tournament, right? Like, I think the playing tournament is good. Why? For one reason, because teams don't want to play in it. Nobody wants to play in the playing tournament because everybody want to be a top 6 seed to avoid playing in the playing tournament. Chances are, if you're a bottom feeder, you're trying to bottom out, you're trying to tank, you're trying to rebuild. So the playing is no good for you, right? And chances are, if you're trying to win something, you're trying to avoid the playing game. Nobody wants to do it. That's why it's successful, because teams don't want to be in it. So I don't see why teams will want to be a part of this. I'm talking about the star players really here. I'm not really talking about the players, the bottom feeders on the roster that can make incentives and make an extra dollar. You know, of course, they should be happy about this. But I'm talking about the stars. When we tune into the NBA, right, we want to see these stars playing and taking, D seriously. So to be honest, yes or no, only time will tell. Because maybe I'll be intrigued. Maybe I am going to tune in when it first happened. First of all, it's on the same day as a football game Thursday night. So, I got to make a decision there, right? That's not a good idea. But maybe I will tune in. But then what's going to keep me tuning in is how these star players gravitate to this, and the effort and happiness they show and willingness they show to continue to take part in this is what's really going to determine long term if this is success or not, and if it's a good idea or not.
Yeah, so a lot of good points made. I'll start off by saying this. I'll give the NBA and Adam Silver some credit here in the sense that at least they're recognizing that there is a problem, and the fact that they need, and us as NBA fans, we want the regular season to be a little bit more intriguing. I don't think the regular season NBA product right now is necessarily a great one when a lot of the players, a lot of these teams are telling us as the fans, like, we just care about the playoffs and winning that ring. So when they're saying that, why should we? So I do think the NBA, at least acknowledging that, okay, we have a little bit of a problem within the regular season. We're going to at least try to do something to fix it. I do think that's a solid start to at least try to address the problem. I have a lot of questions, though, as well, mainly starting with, like, if you're a coach, right, and you win this NBA in-season tournament, is it something that you could put on your resume if you're trying to get another job? Like, I'm just trying to figure out, if you win this thing, what exactly could you use it for? Is it something that you could really put on your resume and say, okay, this is something really impressive? And I will say, as a fan, it intrigues me in the sense that, like, a week of Monday Night Football, Tuesday, tournament game night, Wednesday, you have a little bit of an off break. Well, I know you said something about the games on Thursday. I know the opening round games, like the play-in games, quote unquote, that's gonna be on Friday. Are there like the championship games and stuff? Are those gonna be on Thursdays?
I looked at the date. Maybe I got it wrong. If I need to be corrected, by all means. I thought it was Thursday.
Yeah, so I know for a fact that the opening games are Tuesday and Friday. There might be Thursday games down the line, but at least from an opening standpoint, having games on Friday and then college football on Saturday, NFL on Sunday, that in my opinion, that might be the biggest key to this, is the scheduling of it. Like, can you just avoid the NFL and college football? Because most of the time when you're going up against those behemoths, you're not really going to come out well. But I'm intrigued by it as well. I'm curious to see how these players take it. And I just wish the prize was a little bit bigger. Like, I think the winning team should get more salary cap space or an extra draft pick, like something. I know, like, I've heard the idea of having the teams that didn't make the playoffs play in like a tournament during the regular season for the number one draft pick. And that idea sounds really good, like on paper, I think, but I don't necessarily know if you could motivate other players to play for a draft pick when they might not even be on the same team next season. So I do think it's kind of like a puzzle. How does the NBA really prioritize and make the regular season matter?
I think they did a job of just start off with just offering the players money. Like, if you win, you make more money, which every player absolutely wants. They want more money. Now, is it life-changing money? To some, yeah, but not to all. And I think that's what they're starting at. We're starting at a place where who could be most incentivized, and we're talking about the guys who are coming off the bench, really, the guys who don't make as much as the LeBron James, the Kevin Durant, and things of that nature. Money doesn't incentivize those guys anymore. No, that's just a point blank period. They just want to go after championships. But we're trying to hope that you could put some kind of faith in certain players, because a lot of the bench players on all the teams are like, I can make that money. I want to make $500,000 more. That puts a different kind of food on the table for my family, for most bench players in the NBA. So I think that's what we're starting off with. I think if you're talking about cap space and things of that nature, I mean, there's only so much things. I think we're gonna start seeing soon a situation where cap space is gonna be more strict in the NBA because of what the teams like the Phoenix Suns and other teams of that nature. I think they're gonna start incentivizing teams who have homegrown talent and are resigning them and penalizing the guys who are going out there just bringing in guys on $60 million, $7 million a year contracts and trying to bolster their team. It's gonna be a situation where it's gonna be difficult for a lot of teams that try to create cap space by going after other teams' guys. And I think they're gonna try to focus more on the guys you draft, the guys you develop, and you resign will give you some more flexibility in that end, similar to what the Golden State was capable of doing early a couple seasons ago. Just keep resigning the guys they have on their team and still being able to go after Kevin Durant, still being able to go after Andrew Wiggins. So it's going to be an interesting time. I think that like I said, the in-season tournament is more of a players tournament, not the superstar players, the role players tournament. The guys who don't make as much money, the guys who don't make top dollar, but can still win some money in the middle of the season, and like I said, some money in their pocket.
Yeah, I think for me, Zay basically touched on it, and it's my point. These bottom feeders on the roster, or these second unit guys that has an opportunity to make more money, there's an incentive, right? But that's never the issue. We want to see these stars like LeBron and John Moran and all these other guys. I mean, John Moran, obviously, with the suspension, I don't know how that ties in the schedule or whatever, but I don't even need to bring his name up. I could bring somebody else. Zion, right? We want to see those guys take these events and festivities and tournaments seriously. That's what literally brings people to the sport, right? When we watching an All-Star game, we watching an All-Star game to see the All-Stars play. We want to see these guys take it seriously because the sport is good when these guys are heavily intrigued. And I just think, me personally, and I can't speak for everybody, and I don't really think it's an everybody thing. There's a certain select few of guys, stars, that really is concerned with making money, and they already got that, and they really don't want to hoop. Like, you think about Bradley Beal's comments for a second, right? When he got traded to the Suns, he was saying how, I don't have to worry about the defensive attention because I got Booker alongside me and Kevin Durant, so you don't want no defense on you, right? Anthony Davis already told you he don't pick up a basketball to save his life during the offseason. So I don't really think these guys want to hoop, right? That's why they want to avoid the playing games. That's why they don't want to take part in the festivities. They don't want to hoop. They just want to make their money and win chips. And because Adam Silver has fed into that player empowerment ring culture, player empowerment is an extension, like I said before, it has gotten to a point where he's trying to do everything he can and throw up Hail Marys every time he can. When somebody's changing something constantly, then he really doesn't know what he's doing. Or he's really like, all right, there's an issue and I'm trying to fix it. So clearly there is an issue, clearly, because he wouldn't have changed anything if it wasn't, right? But because he is constantly changing things, he knows there is an issue, and I know there's an issue. And I think the real elephant in the room is shortening the season. I think that's what he should want to do. But anytime he thinks about making a change, he overlooks the part where it comes about money, right? He overlooks that part. The money just kick in. Oh my God, we can make more money here. So now he has that money mindset, and now this is a move for money, right? I don't think it's a move for anything else because it doesn't solve anything else. It's a move about ratings and money. So anytime he's supposed to fix something that is regulated to these players taking the regular season seriously, money kicks in, and the money play becomes the play and not the other issues. And we have this. So listen, I'm hoping that it turns out great. I will be tuning in. But like I said, the players, the star players that take this seriously is what's going to determine if I stick with it from a fandom perspective going forward.
So I just wanted to address that point on like the money and the focus on that. And I think sometimes as fans, what we forget is the commissioner. We could agree with their moves, we could disagree with their moves, but at the end of the day, like, they are the spokesperson for the 30 owners. Like, basically the Adam Silver's job is to just please and make sure all of the 30 owners within the league are happy. And I do think that when it comes to this idea, I just think the NBA is really trying to figure out, like, how do we just improve the regular season, which in essence will make them more money. Like, that will be an effect of it. But I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but like, I don't know. I just feel like the NBA regular season has never been a less and irrelevant product, which doesn't make a lot of sense considering these past playoffs were one of the most fun and best playoffs I've ever seen. Like, it was a great time watching the playoffs each and every night. I also think the NBA is in a really good spot right now in terms of the young talent around the league and how spread out it is. Like, it's crazy. I was looking at just the Western Conference and some of these teams after free agency. Like, there aren't really that many teams in the Western Conference right now that you could point at and say, I can't see them making the playoffs next season. Like, every team has a decent amount of talent. And I just think the NBA, they're just trying to figure out a way to really draw more eyeballs, more attention to them during the regular season. And I will say, like, in theory, it could be pretty cool if you have on a Friday night LeBron James and the Lakers taking on the defending champions Jokic and the Nuggets to move on in this tournament. Hopefully that just gets the competitive juices of these players going. But if that can't bring more focus and more attention to the NBA during the regular season, I don't know what can. I just think they might have to tweak it a little bit in the sense of, like, how do we make this mean a little bit more?
I think just final thoughts. It's something they're trying to implementing. If the league wants to try and change something up, maybe because the NBA is shown too much, maybe they go to NFL where I just play one game a week and figure it out, because that's what apparently it is. The team, even MLB, people don't watch baseball so much because 162 games, so many games throughout the season. Hockey, same thing. A lot of people don't watch hockey because so many games in a season, but it seems like the games that only are shown once a week, twice a week, maybe, are the ones that is getting the most viewership, and that's because it's only getting shown once a week. So maybe that's what the NBA needs to do by being not having enough games is probably what's going to drive viewership, because people are only going to crave it more and more.
I think it's a combination of the amount of games, like Zay alluded to, but I think it's bigger than that. I won't say bigger than that. It's a product of that. And the ramifications of shortening the schedule and having a game that comes on sporadically is that it means more. So honestly, I thought about this earlier today, and this is my last point, right? Because honestly, I really can't fully blame the NBA. Like, I'm going to blame Adam Silver for a lot of things, and the culture that the NBA is becoming, I'm just not a fan of. But like, I can't just rat him out there to the wolves, because honestly, the NFL is America's sport. And I don't really think Adam Silver or David Stern could fix that. Now, you can flip that and rebuttal that and say, well, when David Stern was there, the NBA and the NFL was neck and neck. Somehow the NFL just shot past the NBA like a rocket, because at one point, the NBA, you could argue, was a better sport, a popular sport, a more popular sport, than the NFL. And that's what my cousin told me. He'd been on this earth longer than me, and my dad told me that, and I trust their judgments, right? And baseball was number one. Baseball was a kingpin. It was America's pastime. There's somewhere along the lines, baseball shot down, the NFL shot up, and the NBA is below, the NFL. So I don't know if it's the culture shift with how we view sports as people. I don't know if it's, all right, the NFL is so short that every game matters, and that's why we want to tune into it, because you lose week 1 and week 2, you're 0-2, you might not make the playoffs. It's not looking good for you making the playoffs. Whereas there's a team in my mind in the NBA that the Lakers, they were struggling. They were like 2-10 or something like that. And look how they almost daggone went on to the finals. Like, think about that. The Lakers literally had 2 seasons in one. They were completely trash to start off the year last year, and you couldn't bank that they was going to make the playoffs outright. They made the play-ins, actually, but then they go on a run and they almost make the finals. And the year before that, Boston was 25-25 through 50 games, right? And they look anemic, and they look like the best team in basketball the second half of the season, almost won a chip. So the NBA is really an outlier. Miami, how could I forget about the run Miami went on, where they was one of the worst three-point shooting teams last year in the regular season. Then they came a missing shot in the playoffs, and they go on a finals run, So it's like, time and time again, the regular season really doesn't hold mathematical value anymore. And it's like, all right, what I think I know in the regular season is really not what I know in the playoffs. It's a totally different game. So I don't think Adam Silver can fix that. Like, he could try. That doesn't mean you could get closer to fixing it, but he can't make a move today that would literally fix the regular season tomorrow. Because if he did, I would have came up with it. I can't come up with it. So I can't fully blame him, even though there's things I will blame him for. And that's my take.
Just adding to that, I could think of a couple more examples. I know injuries have something to do with this, but when Lonzo Ball got hurt 2 years ago, weren't the Bulls like the number 1 seed in the East? And then
they were
like 6. And then even this past year, the Pelicans, I know this was with Zion, but they were the number 1 seed in the West for a little bit, right? And they ended up in the playing game. So it's just crazy with the regular season. And I do think the answer should be like cutting the games to 60 games, but we know the commissioner and the 30 owners, they're not going to want to do that. They're not going to want to take away that revenue of the extra, 10 home games they'd be losing. So I agree. I don't think there's just an easy, obvious answer here.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to halftime here. And when we come back, we got our quarterback ranking. So make sure you lock into that. We got Coach in the building. He's in the lobby. And he's ready to handle it like Ricky Bobby, right? Listen, I had to make something rhyme. So anyway, we're going to come back in 2 minutes. Make sure you keep it locked. This is 99 Pod.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.